High performance Harley-Davidson and drag bike fans, get ready because we've got an inside look at an incredible record-breaking speed shop.
What's up, cycle drag motorcycle fanatics? I'm Jack Corpella. Thanks for joining us once again. You know, we travel far and wide to bring you the best of the best when it comes to high performance motorcycles. We're here in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. We're about an hour away from Pittsburgh, and we have found a gem. Behind me is GMS Racing Engines. If you love fast motorcycles, especially record-setting baggers, you've got to see Greg Dahl's amazing shop. Let's go get started. Wow, Mr. Greg, how you doing, sir? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime.
This is a motorcycle oasis.
There's a bunch of them sitting around for sure.
This just goes to show you never know where the fast bikes are. Uniontown, Pennsylvania. How did you end up here, of all places?
This is where I'm from. It's my home. Yeah, I grew up here. I've been in this building since '03, so about 16, 17 years. But I've been in business here for 30. We started here in '89, actually doing just a little bit of motorcycle stuff and mainly automotive racing.
Well, I love it. We got a lot to see, including the world's quickest street tire Harley-Davidson. You ready for that? I got you a little present that I brought for you right here before we get started.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, we'll find a good place for them.
I know you got them. I got to bring you a stack next time. Let's get started here.
This is just kind of storage over here right now.
We will also meet the shop kitty cats.
Well, we got a lot to see over here. Where would you like to begin in this oasis, this
Well,
fairy
if you just
trail?
want to look at some motorcycles, this is Stacy's.
Stacy, now Stacy,
Stacy Bortz.
where's she from?
Here in Uniontown.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
How long
she
you been?
rides. You'll see her bike here in a minute. She got the fast one.
How long you been hooked up with her?
About 12, 13 years.
Excellent. I
Yeah,
know she's
quite
a
a
big
while.
name out there on the circuit. This is one of her first bikes?
Yeah, this is what she learned to race on. She rides out on the street all the time. It's a 10-second Harley Super Glide.
Wow. Now, Harley-Davidson drag racing, in your mind, you've been in it for so long. Is it growing? Is it status quo? Is it in decline? Where would you say the sport is?
Well, right now I think it's exploding because we have, for the first time in many years, we have multiple sanctions, and they've seemed to all blossom at about the same time. Without getting into any details about that, there's going to be a lot of places to race next year.
Can't wait. That's great for the
So
sport.
watch the social media. It's getting big. One of the things I'm excited about is some of the projects we're working on is we're going to try to integrate into some of the import racing with some of our projects.
Oh, that would be cool. I have long said that having every make under one roof of racing is the way to do it.
We would like to at least go and try and see how it works out. I mean, when those guys are getting 700, 800 bikes, they don't need us there, but it'd sure be fun to go.
There's nothing like that V-twin inline four-cylinder rivalry, though. I love it.
Now that's cool. That's an all original 1992 Harley-Davidson Police FXR.
How did you end up with this?
Well, the city, we've taken care of that bike since about 1994 or 5. So we've been working on this thing for 25 years for the city. And when they decided to sell it, my friend Julio, who works on our race team with us, he's our pit guy, he put a bid in on it and got it.
Wow.
So, I mean, that is a complete original bike.
What would something like this go for? I got to imagine it's very collectible. I see.
I don't know. It's such an oddball thing. We don't know what it's worth. I mean, I know what he paid for it. I don't want to say, but
Sure.
It's probably pretty valuable.
Well, the reason I asked you is I know that the police KZs are incredibly collectible.
Are they really?
Oh, you see them going on eBay. Guys go nuts over the police version of the KZ. Very cool. Look at this long line of motorcycles. Oh my gosh. What's some of the stuff that we're looking at here?
That's a 103-inch Sportster. One of my old bikes. No, right next to it.
Here we go.
That one there. That thing ain't run in years, but that bike used to run 1080s just the way it sits.
Wow. Pretty.
Little street bike. And then just some old shovel heads.
Are these now museum pieces for you, or are these bikes you hope to get to?
Some of them were stolen, some of them are ours. Some of them were, waiting on parts for. We move a lot of motorcycles through here, so. But the stuff along this wall is all in storage. Customers and so on.
Beautiful. What do we have over here? Bunch of parts.
Just a bunch of parts and stuff. Some of the parts for Seam's turbo bike. There's number 8 bags on the.
Is that a tribute to Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
I think so.
We got to take a look at that. And before we go any further, let's, for people that don't know, you're hooked up with Asim Chandri. Okay, he has been for years now the king of the baggers. He's kind of been leading the charge, and he's doing it out of your shop.
Right. He's been racing out of here since he got started.
What's it been like working with him, and what's your best performance?
He's, I really like working with him because he's open-minded. And when I try to keep his feet on the ground and keep him from, I don't know how to say it. He responds well to my realistic approach. Let's put it that way. And when he comes to me with the project, we really take a look at the reality of it and what we can and cannot do, and we move forward together. And when we do well as a group, and when we don't do well, we take the heat as a group. There's no finger pointing around here.
Well, that's wise. I'm sure he appreciates having a veteran like you.
He's been very good to us.
What are we looking at here?
That's an old super gas bike that was built down in Georgia somewhere. And a friend of mine had bought the bike and then passed away. And his widow sold it to a friend of mine. We're going to get that running. He's going to run some 990 with that next year.
That'll be fun to see. Got a rolling chassis over here.
Yeah, that's a bike from Florida. That's a modified class bike. Those bikes run low 9s.
Is this one of your chassis?
No, that's a D&G.
That's a D&G, okay.
Yep.
Dave Skaggs.
Yep, he's one of my buddies.
He's a good guy.
He makes nice stuff.
He does make good stuff.
Yeah.
But what I want to mention, and what's so unique about your shop, is this can be a one-stop shop. You make the chassis, you do the motor work.
Correct.
You said these guys can even get paint job across the street if they want.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
We can do a complete V-twin drag bike under one roof. And mainly what we concentrate on are street drag bikes. No bar stuff is what we do, but we can do about anything.
I love it. So. Well, speaking of Mr. Asim, this is the new project for Asim. Tell me about this.
This is going to be a turbocharged, fuel-injected turbocharged bike. It was originally going to be a bike that he could ride around on the street, but we have since decided just to make it a full boogie turbocharged racing bike. We are working on a little bit of this at a time, but it's a back burner project because of another one that we're doing for him. We're building him a bike for extreme bagger and AHDRA right now, which is going to be an all-motor bike.
Sure.
So
you guys are busy. Look at all these motorcycles. I love it.
Yeah, we can go out here in the garage area.
Let's do it. Let's go check out the world's quickest street tire, Harley-Davidson.
You just get a scope on big places. That's not important. Come on, guys. Let's go. We can also do the dining room and all that.
Well, one of my big questions about your shop is it only American motorcycles? And right here, based on what's on the lift, a 2006 Kawasaki ZX-10, the answer to that question is you work on it all, huh?
Yeah, I don't get into the engines on these and build them, but we'll do engine control systems. Steve and Damon right now are doing a nitrous system, a dry system on this bike, and all the clutch and engine controls. Like the two-step and that kind of stuff.
Would you say your heart is American motorcycles, or do you just love?
That's what I know.
Got you.
I don't dislike any of them, but I tend to stick with what I know and what I came up with, which was the V-twins. But we still do a lot of this stuff for these guys. Do a lot of tuning on them too. When the weather's good, it's not uncommon to have one or two of these here a week to get tuned.
Very cool. What do we have? And we have street bikes over here as well, right?
Yeah, yep. We have a couple guys come in and we do some street bike work.
Now, if anybody's watching this in the South or California, I got news for them. As a Pittsburgh native, we only get about 6 months of riding time up here. Those guys are spoiled. So there is a big winter rebuild season.
We got lots of time to build. Yeah.
There you go.
So this is Stacy's bike
here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the quickest street tire Harley-Davidson in the world, all motor. And we unfortunately have to say unofficially, right? Because
unofficially, it was done in testing.
Done in testing. Tell me the story of when that happened and what the ET was.
Well, the week before Rockingham, we went to Mason-Dixon and did some testing, and we got it in the 7s down there at 174. So we wasn't even going to go to Rockham because we didn't race this year. Stacy's been dealing with an injury, and she couldn't ride, but she's been feeling really good. She's riding really well right now, so she's getting back on it full time next year. So we decided, since we thought we had something, we could go down to Rockingham. Well, we went down there, and Friday night, it was just one of those things where the conditions were good, and we had the wind not working against us, and the track was good, and we got a little bit aggressive with the clutch and the launch, and it stuck, and she ripped off a 790 at 175 on Friday night. We went to qualify on Saturday, and the transmission wouldn't cooperate. Oh. We got that fixed for Sunday morning, and then it rained. So that was it. But if you guys like, I think we might turn over. We'll do a little startup for you.
Please. Right. You don't got to ask me twice. Here you go, guys. Let us know in the comments, what do you think of this beast? You think your Harley-Davidson is fast? Get ready. Sounds great. You just made my day. I feel like I'm back at the drag strip. Awesome. I know, and I see the big name up here, great supporter of motorcycle drag racing, Brock's Performance, Brock Davidson. He's got to be proud of this. He was the first guy to put a street bike in the 7s.
That's right.
So he's got to admire what you're doing. Yeah. What's it been like working with Brock?
Brock's an awesome guy. He got acquainted with us out at the old Cincinnati V-Twin show that they used to have. And we got talking, and he told Stacy, so I'd love to have a set of my rims on your bike. And we got together and did some talking. We ended up with a set of wheels, and they've been awesome.
These are the BSTs?
No, those
are the Rotobox. Wow,
Rotobox.
Okay.
I don't even know that those are around anymore. But
wow.
Boy, they've been a really great set of rims. Stacy says that the thing handles way better with them on there, especially on shutdown. So when you have to slow down on a rough track, they seem to be a little more friendly, you know. So
I have a video on this channel where we went to Brock's shop, and he has a front end with a steel motorcycle wheel and one of his, and the difference, the control is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
I'm excited. I've never...
Brock's helped us a lot too with information and setup. When we started running these kind of numbers, he'd already been there, and he was a little bit of a help to us, and we certainly appreciate that.
What's the most difficult part of maintaining this program? Is it keeping it together and avoiding breakage when you're pushing these limits?
Well, you know, there's a lot of, I think I'm stuttering here. You know, the biggest difference and the biggest struggle is that our base of knowledge is very narrow compared to what's out there for sport bikes. There's a lot more sport bikes running, and those guys have a lot more information to work from than we do. And we've pretty much had to write everything from scratch. So that's been the biggest hurdle, is to start from scratch and pretty much create a technology from nothing.
Well, I noticed on your website it says...
And I'm not just talking about myself, it's the other teams too. Everybody should, you know, we're all in the same thing. You know.
It says clearly on your website to set records, it is a year-round research and development process, and that is a very true statement, that it's not just race season, it's not just getting it ready in January, February, it is 365 days a year.
Yeah, these races are won in the shop. You know, I mean, it takes a great rider and a good track crew and everything, but if you can't keep the stuff together, and if you don't show up with development that's ahead, it's a losing deal. You know, I do this 24 hours a day. I wake up in the middle of the night and take notes alongside my bed. You know, and I might also say that there's two other bikes that have been in the 7s. The first one was Stefan Creed up in Canada. He went in 95.
Amazing machine. Got to see it in new media.
Yep. The other one was the day after she went 790, was Tim Grindle across the street went 792
no
on
way.
his bike. Actually, I rent my building off of it.
Something in this Uniontown water.
So there's another 7-second bike across the street. I was hoping he could be here today to talk to you, but he's not here. So.
And you're saying there's potentially been some talk. I read on the internet that Real Street, some of the promoters, specifically XDA, was talking about maybe welcoming you in to spice things up a little bit. That would be interesting.
Yeah, we had one conversation, and Jason was really cool about it, and he told me that if I ever decide I want to come over, all I have to do is call him, and we'll try to figure out a viable combination. So,
well, I love Real
that's
Street.
Definitely something that we're considering doing.
It's such an interesting class because there are so many legal combinations, and I think seeing a fast V twin like this would really blow people's minds to be out there with Teasley's GSXR and the ZX14s and everything else. It's a beautiful motorcycle. What are you most proud of on this machine? Its performance, or is it something that you created?
You know, the thing that I'm most proud of is that me and the rest of the guys here did this complete bike under this roof. The chassis was built here, the engine, the engine control system, the fuel injection is all our proprietary stuff. This thing was completely built here, and the heads are our cylinder heads.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Do you have your own moniker there for the heads? Is it GMS Warheads?
Yeah, it's something new. We've been working on a project for about maybe 4 or 5 years, and then we also acquired another program that we ended up using our program, as all I'll say. And but we did produce those. They're actually being made right now. I think we have 5 sets being made right now. I'm working with a company that does big diesel stuff, and they're cutting our stuff out, and I'm doing some port and valve development for them. So
truly amazing. I can't wait to see this thing hit the track 2020 and beyond.
Those are
Something of it.
A lot of machines here. Wait a minute. I recognize this man. This man was one of the top dogs at S&S. He worked for Chris Hand's Top Fuel motorcycle operation. Is this the one and only legend, Mr. Steve Rominski?
Yes, it is.
Steve, how did you end up in Uniontown?
It's a little bit of a long story, but Greg and I have been friends for years, and when I departed S&S, he gave me the opportunity to come change some things in the industry.
What a benefit, man. Thanks for being here. I can tell you're working hard, as always. He's got the tools. Man, Greg.
Well, a lot of what we got going on here is Steve's got his hands on, so.
You know how to find talent. How did you get Steve to move to Uniontown?
Basically what he just told you. We were friends for a long time, and when the opportunity came up, you know, this is a little closer to his home, so you know, that's basically how we ended up doing this, and it's been a great thing for us.
Does Steve come to the races with you ever?
Occasionally.
Oh, cool.
Occasionally. It's pretty awesome to have him here while we're not too, because he can hold down the fort and take care of things, you know, because he can do everything we can do.
I like
which is
it.
real hard to find.
We got plenty of shop cats.
Oh yeah, that's Mr. Butch.
Hello, Mr. Butch. How many employees do you have total?
There's I got 3 of us here full time, and I got 1 part-time guy. I am looking for help.
Oh.
I'd like to initially find somebody that can do parts, answer the phone, and write work orders, and write estimates, and keep track of jobs and that sort of thing. I need somebody like that immediately. Other than that, I wouldn't mind having another mechanic / machinist.
So if somebody's
anybody out there,
what's the best way to get a hold of you?
just call the shop here. It's in the phone book under Greg's Machine Service in Uniontown, Pennsylvania.
And it's also, you can Google it. It's on your website.
Yep.
Perfect. Good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
We continue over into this room and look at this beautiful machine shop. Oh my goodness. But before we go any further and talk about any of these machines, I got to ask you, what's going on with the dragster up on the ceiling?
Well, that car actually belongs to Ralph Greco, and his son Brandon Greco is a rising star in the NHRA and the top alcohol dragster ranks. But back in the 90s, his dad Ralph ran this car in Top Sportsman, and I used to help him with it. It had a blown Chevy in it. that was originally a top fuel car. And when we moved in here in the early 2000s, around 2003, Ralph had this car in storage in pieces, and I told him I'd like to have that car to hang in my new shop, and it's been there for 16 years.
That's a conversation piece, if I ever saw one.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people come in here 3 or 4 times and never see it because they don't look up.
Wow. So Greg, I mean, all types of different machines here. What are we looking at?
A lot of old stuff. You know, we got a cylinder head surfacing machine. We do PCD and CBM cutting with the surface heads and cases and whatever else. And we got some old mills and lathes we use. We have a electronic crankshaft balancing machine. We do a lot of crankshaft balancing.
Now that is an incredible performance modification, right?
Oh, yeah, to have it done right.
Okay.
To do it right.
So the guys at AP drilled that into my head that's huge
yeah.
if they can balance a crankshaft.
Yes. Yeah, I actually learned how to balance cranks on the old Stuart Warner 2300 with the strobe light.
Oh, wow.
So once you do it manually like that, new computer operated machines are a lot easier, but it's still good to have that knowledge.
Because I think casual hot rodders and casual motorcyclists, they don't think of that. They think of the exhaust system, they think of porting, they think of bigger pistons, but
when you split them cases, balance the crank.
it's well worth it, right?
Just balance it.
Makes sense.
Yep. We got some boring equipment, honing equipment. We're just we have a Sun computer honing machine coming. We just made the decision this morning to go with it. And over here's my frame table.
How long have you been producing frames?
I've been building them about 10, 12 years. But the last 3 or 4 years, I try to build at least one a winter. I'm not a frame builder. I'm not like Dave or Walt or those guys. I mean, but if we have a customer that orders a street V-twin racing bike, we'll build the frame. So,
well, that's what's amazing to me is most chassis builders who I see have nothing to do with motor building and vice versa. The fact that you're so well-rounded, it's impressive.
Oh, thank you. It all comes from the fact that I had to build my own stuff because I couldn't afford to pay anybody else, and we ended up having pretty good chassis and good frames for the type of bikes that we build.
How many years were you a competitor?
I'm going to race this year.
You're still racing this year,
yeah.
That's right?
Yeah, I started with the old HDRA back in the 80s, just running street bikes. And I got away from that, and a local guy here ran IHRA Pro Mod cars back in the Scotty Cannon, Johnny Rocca days, and we was racing Pro Mod for a while. You know, I just went with Teddy Smith, the local guy. I helped him rebuild the engines and stuff. And then I got hooked up with Conrad Dahl, who's Victory 1 titanium valve, and helped him with his funny cars for about 3 or 4 years, 5. And then we started racing motorcycles full time, and I think about 2002 or 3. But I'd been doing it off and on since the 80s. So I've been at it for a long time. How
would you compare being a competitor yourself versus the satisfaction you get tuning a Stacy or tuning in a Sim and being there with them?
It really doesn't make any difference to me. I like being at the racetrack. I like being a part of all this. To be honest with you, my favorite part of it is being here in the shop and building everything and making it work. And when you go down to the drags and see it perform well, there's no more satisfaction you can ask for than that. You can ask any of the other guys you talk to, they'll probably tell you the same thing, the shop guys, you know.
Well, I think it's profound what you said, that records are broken in the shop. If I had to compare it to bodybuilding, it's like everybody wants to go to the beach, right? But they say abs are made in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, the racetrack, the race is your beach. It's how much work have you done back home all year.
Right.
And that's where it shines through. So
right.
Very impressive.
I might also add that the chassis that we do build, we started using the new Docall R8 material.
Okay.
And it's really, really been great for RV twin chassis because of the vibration that we have to deal with. You know, when we balance an engine, it isn't balanced perfectly like an inline 4 or a boxer style engine. We have to deal with a phase balancing where it comes in and out of phase as it goes through its range. So we have some vibration to deal with. And a problem with chrome moly has always been the tabs breaking out of the chrome moly. And so you got to run a little thicker tubing. Well, this dough call doesn't do that. We haven't had a single tab come out, and all our bikes are motor plate mounted like fuel bikes. We don't use motor mounts. And I think we may be the first guys to mount street V-twins with plates. I think we're the first guys to do that, and it works well. So, but the dough call tubing has been really, really good. We get that from AED out in Indy.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Out of everything in here, what would you say is your most valuable machine, or the machine you use the most often?
Oh, probably my 30, my cylinder head machine.
Let's take a look at your 30 over here. Wow.
Yeah, that's an old one.
You got to explain this.
A lot of people use them. We're actually getting ready to retire it and move on to a modern single point machine.
How's it work?
Just you have a carbide spindle that's live and it stays in the tool, and it goes down in the cylinder head, and this is on a ball, and it centers in the guide, and you have a single tool that is formed. I don't have one here, or do I? That is formed to make the seat in one cut, and you go down in there and it cuts the seat.
Beautiful.
It does a real good job, but there's better stuff now, so we're just getting ready to move on to some more modern equipment. But this has been a good machine. It's been real good to me.
Truly amazing. And I love what you guys do. Bagger racing is really catching on. It's really getting popular, and you got Asim, excuse me, I didn't pronounce his name correctly, who attracts a whole lot of attention. Recently, George Bryce, the 6-time NHRA champion, joined the fray. You guys had one heck of a battle. I mean, I think that goes to show you, when famous engine builders like that are getting involved, this is about to explode, isn't it?
The scene's getting real big, and it's also helping V-twin racing as a whole. But I don't want to say that bagger racing is getting big just because of its own merit. It's a great thing, but all motorcycle racing is getting big. The economy's pumping along. People got
better
money.
than it was.
Jason down there at XDA is getting 800 motorcycles at his races. You know, it only stands to reason that if those guys are getting bigger, we're going to get bigger with them. And the bagger racing is good. I mean, one thing that the bagger guys are doing better than everybody else is social media. They're blowing social media up. And you know, I think everybody can just look at this bagger scene and watch how those guys do social media. They tear each other's ass apart on there.
They sure do, and
but
it's a lot of fun.
It is what it is, and people's watching, so it's a good thing.
There's a reason people buy UFC and WWE pay-per-views. It's about the build-up and the talk and selling the story. And I thought George and Asim did a great job. I can't wait for the rematch. You guys are what, 1-1 right now, right?
Yeah.
1-1.
Yeah.
And I know we could probably talk forever about the storylines there. There's been some breakage and some.
Yeah, we had Asim went to the last race with a faulty transmission that was hurting Rockingham, but he wanted to honor his commitment and he went anyway. So, and we'll take the result. It was a loss. So.
Last question for you on bagger racing. You've been in the sport a long time. You remember when a bagger was your grandpa's motorcycle that was not cool. We saw the shirts. If you want to ride a couch, stay home, all that stuff. All of a sudden, they become the go-to bikes. You go down to Daytona Bike Week, that is all you see. They're fast, they're impressive, they look great. How did this change come about?
You know, in my opinion, you know, back when Chopper Days was around, that brought a lot of people into motorcycling that had a lot of money. When Chopper Days went away, a lot of those people went away, but some of them didn't. And they bought dressers because that was something that they could get on and go. Most comfortable machine. But they became so popular, some guys started racing them. And I mean, AHDRA back in the 90s had a Dragon Bagger class. Or it was maybe in the 2000s Dragon Bagger. Before that, they did have a dresser class.
That's right.
And one of the guys that helped develop that class was Jordan Haas's dad.
Ah, legend.
Wilbur.
Late, great guy.
Yeah, he was
we
an
miss
awesome
him.
dude. Wilbur helped start all this stuff, and another guy that carried it through the low years was Dave Denick, who races out of this shop. And Dave's been at it. Dave's got more passes on a bagger than any other 2 or 3 guys together out there. He's been doing it for 20 years.
Very cool.
But it kind of just started, you know, when these guys in the city started street racing and grudge racing, next thing you know, they're racing each other on baggers, and the social media got a hold of it, and it exploded. One of the guys that helped get it to explode was Marcel Tillman, FHO. He was the first guy to start chasing it around with the camera, and now it's pretty much mainstream. It's like Street Outlaws, man.
It really is, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
It's awesome, yeah.
And I go back to, I just told George Bryce this weekend, I did an interview with Brett Kepner. He's one of my mentors.
Brett used to work in the tower for IHRA when we was racing pro mods.
He's an encyclopedia. I mean,
Yeah.
someday we got to do a story about Brett Kepner. He told me
Yeah.
he's got a computer file at home that has so much drag racing data, it's almost filled up his computer. But anyhow, he said something very profound. He said in the history of drag racing, no matter how it's evolved, it's always reverted back to two stock appearing vehicles lining up to see who's the quickest. And that's what we have going on with the baggers right now.
I think so. The visual appeal of seeing those big motorcycles do what they're doing now it's powerful. It's a powerful thing. So, and I'm hoping that it continues to grow. Like I said, there's a bunch of places to race next year. Get on the social media and look at it.
It's going to be exciting, that's for sure. We know AHDRA's ramping up, AMRA still in there, XDA, Man Cup, NHDRO, your local track. There's plenty of options. And guys, if you want to go fast on a Harley-Davidson or anything, make sure you look up GMS. Your motor could be the next up in this beautiful machine shop. Working our way into another secret compartment of the shop. There's so many layers here. Yes, this is top secret, so if I get too close, you just let me know. We understand speed. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Greg's new motorcycle. And turbo fans, hello, you recognize that? We're seeing a lot of turbocharging now in the V-twin world. Tell me about this thing.
Well, what this is going to be, I originally built this bike. This was the first chassis that I built out of Dokal tubing. So I wanted to build one for myself to get used to using the material, and it ended up going on the back shelf because of other projects, and I hadn't raced for a couple of years. But now we're getting it ready to go. This is going to be a turbocharged methanol Harley street bike.
Oh boy!
And I have certain goals in mind that we want to do with this thing. I really don't want to say what it is because I don't want to sound frivolous.
Yeah.
But we are trying to achieve some lofty goals with this bike.
Excellent.
And I've got some people that are big in the turbocharged bike world that are rooting for us and maybe even helping us a little bit. And we're going to run this bike in the new AHDRA Extreme Gas class against all the big wheelie bar pro gas style bikes.
That's going to be cool to see. And I got to believe, with all your knowledge, with everything you've done, all the records you recently set with Stacy, when you start a build like this from the ground up, how much is that database that you have? How valuable is that?
Oh, just all the experience, everything we know is wrapped up into this bike right now. Now, whether it proves out or not, we will find out. But even if we fail, it's still a good project because a bad test is still a test. You still learn something.
That's right.
So, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to do pretty well with it. We're really not going to race this bike as much to beat other competitors as it is going to be an experiment and a learning experience.
Have you ever dealt with turbocharging at all?
Oh yeah, we tune a lot of turbo bikes here.
Okay. What's your
A lot
thoughts
of
on
people
turbo?
come. A lot of people come here to get their turbo bikes tuned and don't tell anybody they were here. So
especially in the grudge world, right?
Yeah,
You don't want
exactly.
anyone knowing where it's coming from or how fast it is.
Yeah.
Turbo versus nitrous. Are you more of a turbo guy or?
Well, I got a lot of experience with nitrous, and it's my personal favorite. But I think a turbo, as you know, will make a lot more power with a lot less attrition. So that's why we're doing it this way.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Like I said, I don't want to get too close because I know we may have some top secret stuff over here. But
Yeah.
man, it's gonna make for an awesome 2020 and an awesome race season. I can't wait to see it on the track.
I might also add that we're working on very soon we're going to have billet cylinder cases, and we're going to be able to sell complete billet V-twin racing engines based on the twin cam that are going to be 5-inch bore. And I think we're going to be able to make them between about 135 and 172 cubic inch. So we're going to, there's a lot of parts that aren't made anymore. And with all this activity going on, you can't buy heads anymore. You can't buy cases. The flywheels are iffy. And I'm working with a couple of manufacturers right now to keep the parts flowing. So, anybody that is interested in a big engine like that, they can give me a call. Anybody that's got a bitch, they can call me too. I don't care. I'm here to do what I'm going to do.
You take it all. Your true customer service. I love it.
Yep.
That's the Pittsburgher in you.
Yep.
Great stuff. What's the travel schedule looking like in 2020 with all these organizations?
We are going to run. I sponsored we sponsored the Extreme Gas class in AHDRA, so we're committed to that series. We're also going to try to run some AMRA stuff, and I would really like to go over there to XDA and just see if we can fit in somewhere and run with them guys. So, all that said, that's a whole lot of driving next year. I don't know if we can do all that, but that's what we would like to do.
Sure is.
Depends on how our budget goes and how our time goes.
You being the V-twin aficionado that you are, any interest ever in the Nitro bikes? Do you like watching the Nitro Harleys?
I appreciate what those guys do. I think it's awesome. That's the fastest version of what we do. But I'm a gas and gears guy. That's what I like to do. Pro stock on steroids, if you will. So that's what we like.
I love it. Plenty of awards and accolades and memorabilia in this shop. Take a look. Some of you will enjoy that trip down memory lane. All the pictures. There you are right there in the winner's circle of Maryland International Raceway.
Oh yeah.
Can tell you've been doing this a year or two, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, there's one of my old plates from the 80s.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
Look at all these old age. And look at this trophy. You got to tell me the story behind this trophy.
I wrote a bunch of articles for Engine Builder magazine back in 16 and 17. And they come down and did a story on one of my engines and got us in the Engine of the Year competition, which was the social media and all that. And we ended up winning the thing out of PRI in 2017. And that was a good year for us. We also spoke at the ATEC conference that year, Damon and I.
Kitties. Hey, kitty.
What?
Hey, kitty. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
What's your name?
Damon.
Damon.
Custom.
Greg, is this the world famous Damon? You got to officially introduce me because I understand Damon is a very important part of your shop. Come on in, Damon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he actually runs the place for me. When you call here, that's who answers the phone.
Oh, cool.
He writes all the repair orders, runs everything, but he is most importantly the driving force behind our fuel injection program.
Oh.
And one of the things that we have developed here recently, which is going to be real important for the bagger guys, is 2014 and newer. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
2000. Tell them what we got going on there.
Oh, we've come up with a two-step launch and a traction control system utilizing the stock ECU and electronics on the 2014 and up models that have throttle-by-wire throttle bodies.
Wow, that's amazing. With stock ECU, you can do, because everybody's talking about all these great aftermarket ECUs. You're telling me with the stock ECU, you can do this.
Correct. In the aftermarket, ECUs definitely have their place. When we get into a more elaborate race-only vehicle, then yeah, we would want to go that way. But for the guys that are running street strip or even a bike that's pretty heavily modified, the stock ECU is a very capable unit, and it could save you a lot of money. The sensors and the devices you need to do a lot of cool things are right there from the factory.
Interesting. I love it. What I got to ask you is, you're living the dream for many people. Many people watching this video are saying, I hate my job. I wish I worked around fast drag bikes. What's it like? I'm sure it's got its challenges. It's not all bed of roses.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It does have its challenges. It has its ups and downs. I definitely wouldn't say get into this if you want to get rich, but if you want to make a decent living and do what you like to do, there's avenues to get into this field and really make a good living at it and have a lot of fun at the same time.
What's the most difficult part of your job?
Dealing with crazy people.
Yeah, that's probably it. I'll agree with that.
Customer service, right? People
Absolutely.
don't realize how tough it is.
It is.
You have a big, robust customer base. There's going to be a few dissatisfied people in there no matter what you do.
It's not so much dissatisfied people, is it our largest customer complaint, me complaining about the customers, which I don't do very often, but is people that are grossly misinformed. And then they come in here and we tell them what's in the real world. And we have a hard time convincing some people what is real and what is not because of all the misinformation that's out there. That is our biggest customer issue.
Managing expectations definitely is up there.
Yeah.
And you know, that just like there's a lot of different types of personalities out there, and at a certain point you're going to run into all of them. The longer you're in business long enough, you're going to run into all of them. And
I don't care if you're pumping gas. You're going to run into all of them. That's right.
Well, you're talking to a drag racing promoter. I found out there's some racers out there you could give $1 million to, and they'll be mad if it's not in the right case.
That's
Or
very
they'll be
true.
mad if it's not in the right chain. So it just unfortunately is the way it happens. But I'm sure in the motorcycling industry, you also meet some great people that probably appreciate you so much. And
99% of the clients that come in here, I would invite to my house on Christmas.
That's great.
We have the luxury of having a terrific group of clientele coming in. We don't have any political problems with any of the people coming in here or not. You know, we probably over-inform the customer when we're doing a job for them compared to a lot of the other people in this business. But when somebody leaves here, they know what they got and they know they got their money's worth, and that's our most important goal.
that's well said. Well said. Well, we know you got to get out of here. Anything you would like to add or pass on before you have to leave?
Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you a little bit here. Sorry it was so brief. I wish I had a little more time.
No, that's okay. We'll see you at the track.
Yeah, absolutely. But
You want to walk me through the dyno room on
yeah,
your way out?
yeah.
Let's go
head
check
this
it
way.
out. Let's go check out the dyno room here. How much time do you guys spend on the dyno?
Oh, I spend a lot of time in there. Depending on the job, it could be anywhere from a few hours on a bike to much, much more.
And this is where a lot of the gains and secret performance aspects of the sport are found. I just talked to Paul Gast. He laughed. He said in the pro stock days, he used to dyno for 3 weeks to find a 1/4 horsepower.
I believe that. I believe that. We've been in that situation plenty of times.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful dyno facility. How long have you guys had a dyno?
About 13 years.
13 years, okay. Now, I know I can speak as a Pittsburgh native. There's not a whole lot of dyno shops around here, so...
No, we actually do a lot of dyno work for the other shops and other dealers around.
So they advertise that they have a dyno, but then they send it to you, huh?
I don't know if they advertise it. We do their dyno work for them. We do a lot of dyno. About 50% of what we do is for other shops.
That's cool. I know Roland Stewart said something to me. He's down in Gainesville, Florida, and he talked about how his shop's doing really well because he says the dealers, they won't work on anything more than 10 years old. So
That's right.
a lot of these...
The information I have, that is correct.
So a lot of these old performance motorcycles, whether they're Japanese or American, there's really nowhere to turn.
Yeah, we also have some capabilities because of Damon's background that the dealers do not have.
Okay.
You know, one of the things being is what he just told you about is integrating a two-step and a traction control into a factory machine with no added hardware. That's just writing the code. So, you know, we have a lot of capability here. And I might also add that we have the engineering software for most of the popular tuning programs that none of the other shops have, because Damon does a little bit of troubleshooting and assists with finding bugs and stuff like that for a lot of the major fuel injection manufacturers.
Well, it sounds to me like you're going to save the customer a whole lot of money if they don't have to go out and buy an aftermarket ECU and you guys can dress it up with the stock components. I'm sure people watching this video will want to know, can they bring their motorcycle here from anywhere? If somebody from down in Florida sees this and says, I want a winter rebuild, do you accept those?
There's stuff here from Mississippi, north of the border, California, all over the world.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. It's got to be fulfilling to know that you got fast motorcycles all over the United States, huh?
Very much so. Yes, sir.
And what do you think is one thing about this room that somebody watching this video wouldn't know? What's an interesting part of the dyno room that folks probably just aren't aware of that don't do it?
The sound deadening on the walls.
That's one.
Okay.
That is more than just keeping the neighbors happy.
This looks like an audio booth at my radio station.
Yeah, it sounds like one in here too.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that does is it helps to knock the edge off the electronic noise that happens during a high-end pull. Back when the Harley shop was up the road, he had a dyno like this that we used to use before we had one, and he had it in a room that was built out of tin. And I'd go in there, and every time I'd run my bike, I'd blow the computer up.
Oh my gosh.
So we have our stacks outside the room, and along with the sound deadening in here, it's just one of those little things that helps gives us more clean and consistent information. And if anything I told you is wrong, he can correct me, and it's okay. So.
It's more the high frequency sound that wipes out the electronics. You know, when you get the real powerful bikes in here and turn them to high RPM, it's devastating on the computers, especially the PCs we use to run the dyno electronics.
Well, speaking of devastating and a little bit of danger involved in this process, is there any fear at all? Because I know a few years back I saw a tire explode on Cecil from HTP, and I think that has changed the way that he dynos now. He was dynoing a bike and a tire exploded on him, hit him in the back very hard. Do you ever have any scary incidents like that or worry about anything like that?
No, I mean, we've had a couple engines fail. I mean, you're going to sooner or later. It's a risk you always take. But I could say that I remember when John Gover used to use this dyno room. That
the great pro street racer.
Yeah, he blew up a nitrous Busa in here one time.
Oh, what'd that sound like?
There was oil dripping off the ceiling, man. It was something.
Looked like a murder scene,
Yeah.
huh? Oh my God.
You can see we've got rubber from tires up on the ceiling in here and everything. We get some crazy stuff in here.
Yeah.
I bet you do. Well, we'll have to someday come back and watch you guys dyno a bike. Man, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Anything you would like to add before you go?
I think we got it all covered as far as I know.
Thank you so much, man. We'll see you at the track this year.
Yes, sir. You definitely will.
So you're going to do like a...
We found some more buried treasure here at GMS. What are we looking at?
This is a 103-inch Ironhead Sportster with truck cylinder heads, very old, early Axtell cylinders, and Spooth engine cases. And I built this for a client of mine in Michigan, and he's also a pretty good friend of mine. And this is what we think is the last unused Yetman frame in existence.
Wow.
This is a Dave Yetman frame that was never used.
Now, what exactly is a Dave Yetman frame, for those who don't know?
Dave, I think his name is Dave. Yetman built these race frames for what was top fuel back in the 60s and in the very early 70s. And I know there's people out there who know more about it than I do. This is just all I know. But this is a very, very important piece of history right here.
Beautiful.
And they were furnace brazed. They weren't welded. You can see that there's bronze there. That's how they held them together. It's a Spooth engine case that were made for a couple of years. Arlen Ness bronze tappet blocks, and a lot of very early and unique pieces. One of the weird things that we had to do with this was the engine case was 77 and up, but all the rest of the componentry was 76 and back. So the oil pumps, one turns left and one turns right. And what I had to do to drive the oil pump was take two gears and machine the outside of one down and machine the inside of another out and press them together and make a hybrid pump gear. And that's how we drove that.
That's
and
so
then
cool.
We had to weld all the bottom holes up in the cover and weld them up and polish them away. And then we had to re-drill all these holes and resync them and everything to make it look original. But what we have here is an old 900 cover on a later style case. I
love it. And you must like cats.
I got two here.
That's cool.
My buddy.
Shop cats.
They keep me company when
Some
I'm
people
here
have
all
shop
night.
dogs. You like shop cats, right?
Yeah, I like cats.
I bet you don't have any mice around, do you?
None. They
go.
got rid of the bats and the crickets too.
How about that?
Yeah.
I love it.
Up here.
Yes, this is Uniontown, Pennsylvania, folks. We're going to show you some history.
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
This is a picture of the last day that Uniontown Speedway raced on June the 17th, 1922. They raced there from 1916 to 1922, and some of the most famous people in motorsports of the day raced right here in Uniontown. Uniontown was a very rich place at that time because of the coal and coke, steel-making coke boom.
Sure.
And there's some important people in there. Tommy Milton was the first guy to win the Indy 500 twice. He's in that photo. Lewis and Arthur Chevrolet, Fred and Augie Duesenberg, Jack Kurtner, Jimmy Murphy. They're all very famous people from pre-war times, and that raced here.
That's a wooden track?
That was a 1.125 wooden track.
Oh my
gosh. It was
gosh.
90 feet wide, had 34-degree bank turns. Talladega's only 33. And they went, Jimmy Murphy, the last guy on the end up there, broke the track record the last day they raced there. And average speed on that wooden track was 109 miles an hour.
109? What'd you say the banking was again?
34 degrees.
Oh my God.
Look at the cars. Look what they went 109 mile an hour in. You know, it's incredible.
And they did it right here in Uniontown, Pennsylvania.
Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, matter of fact, I seen this picture on Ray Everham's board track program, and when Damon and I opened up the ATEC conference in 2017, I took one of these pictures and a lot of my memorabilia and copied it, and I got a chance to sit down with Ray and talk about board track racing.
Oh, there's a legend for you.
And I got a Christmas card from him.
I got to see it.
So yeah, I got it here. And he's actually a really nice guy. I really had a good time with him.
That is so cool. What's that mean to you, to have a Christmas card from Ray Everham? The fact that he...
Oh, it might as well have been Elvis. That's awesome.
I mean, you meet so many high-profile guys, but the fact that he cared enough to take your address down and then remember to send you a card, that's pretty thoughtful.
Yeah, he was a very nice man, and we talked about board track racing a lot, and you know, I really enjoyed that time. We had a great run out there at PRI that year anyway. So
that's a great show. I hope to see you at PRI in years to come, maybe.
Yeah, we can't. I don't think we're going to go this year. It's just too much going on here. But for next year, we're planning something big for out there. So.
Well, this truly has been awesome. Greg, you even have boxing connected to your shop. How cool is this?
Yeah, this is a friend of mine's place, Tommy Schaefer from Uniontown here.
Is this where you get your frustrations out?
This is where we work out. And when some of the guys with the bikes come in from out of town, they come in here to work out while we're working on their stuff.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
What a unique place. It's certainly not every high-performance Harley-Davidson shop that has a boxing gym connected to it. On the way out, we even saw former champion Michael Moore. He wanted to say hello. It was great to see him. What a legend. This is where he is from, and this was a very, very cool place, as was the entire shop of GMS.
Somebody going to speak to me? There you go. I hear you. You guys got anything to say? Good kitties. Kitties, yeah. He rides in the truck with me.
As you can see, a lot of products. There is so much to see. This has been a pleasure. I really hope you enjoy it, Cycle Drag. I love Pittsburgh. Look at this. Repping Keystone Raceway. I gotta say, Keystone Raceway, I think I didn't even know it, but it's probably the first time I met you. I remember a man on an ultra-fast Harley when I was a young boy, but I really want to thank you for letting us in.
Thanks for coming down.
This was totally insightful. It was totally entertaining.
You're a hometown boy, so.
I love it. Go Steelers, right?
Yep. Sometimes.
Sometimes. What we want to, something we got to address here is I'm sure somebody watching this is going to want to know how to get a hold of you if they want to bring a bike here. What's the best way?
Best way to do is just pick up the telephone. It's 724-438-0738, and call and talk to me or Damon. And if you got a project that you want to consult with us, it's not a problem. We always have a few minutes to talk with you.
And the website is?
The website is gmsracingengines.com, and we're on Facebook under GMS Race Team and GMS Racing Engines and Greg's Machine Service on Facebook as well.
I can't wait. So much to look forward to. Is Stacy going to get even quicker?
Stacy's coming back next year. We're going to run a full schedule. She is right now, she's planning on running the full Outlaw Street or Street Pro, depending on where we end up going. So she's going to race on next year. But if I get my turbo bike really running good, I would really like to stick her on that and see how she does. She's a little quicker than I am.
Can't wait to see that. And rubber match. Is Asim going to beat George Bryce when he has a healthy motorcycle? That's going to be a fun one to watch.
We don't show up to lose.
Oh, I love it. Well, thanks again, man. I appreciate it. We're going to let you get back to work. We've taken up enough time. Cycle Drag, thank you so much. Remember, if you need anything, this is the man to call. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. First skyscraper west of the Allegheny Mountains. Right there.
A lot to see indeed at beautiful GMS in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Just a short 45-minute drive from the Steel City of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you ever pass through, you have to check out the city, and you'll have to take the drive over to Uniontown to stop and talk with Greg. What an insightful interview he provided. I hope you certainly enjoyed it. Please share your feedback. Let me know where you are watching from. If you have any questions, leave them as well. We'll see if we can get Greg or others to answer them. But I really enjoyed the opportunity to go inside his shop. You know, it's not every day that these high-performance shops want to welcome you in, because there is a lot of proprietary things. There's a lot of speed secrets. So we certainly appreciate Greg allowing us some unbelievable access to give you an inside tour. How about Steve Rominski? It was great to see him, guys. I used to see him back in the Pro Star days when he was a crewman on the Top Fuel motorcycle team. Greg's got a talented staff all around, a lot of brain power there. As you can see, there's a lot of very, very smart individuals. We talked about that ECU flash. Is that amazing or what? What they can do now with a stock ECU. As you can see, Greg has been in the sport for a long, long time. He's got all the hardware and trophies to show for it, and he's hunting down even more records. This is the motorcycle, to tell you the truth, we couldn't get too close to. Greg wanted us to stay back a little bit, and rightfully so. He's got some speed secrets locked up in that Turbo Harley that will debut in 2020. It's going to be awesome to see. And how about his showroom? Oh my goodness. All the fine motorcycles just sitting there dormant, ready for some nice weather, ready for the racetrack, ready to get back out there. Unfortunately, that's the case in Pittsburgh, as I mentioned in the video. For all you West Coast guys, for all you Florida guys, anybody that has warm weather year-round, these motorcycles are in the shop for about 6 months. And what a treat it was to see the quickest and fastest street tire Harley-Davidson. It was awesome. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to subscribe to Cycle Drag. Again, please leave us your feedback, comments, and questions.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to subscribe to Cycle Drag on YouTube, like CycleDrag.com on Facebook, and we'll keep it coming. We are here to promote fast motorcycles all over the world. If you have any friends who you think may enjoy this, please refer them. They are always welcome. Thank you for the comments, the feedback. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you for subscribing to Cycle Drag on YouTube.
Thank you, GMS, and thank you, Cycle Drag Universe. Keep it coming. Keep the shares coming. Subscribe to Cycle Drag on YouTube. Smash the bell for notifications. Like CycleDrag.com on Facebook, and we'll be back with much, much more. You never know where Cycle Drag will be next.